it's logged into GitHub, let's go ahead and create a repo. Give it a name. You can choose whether you want it public or private. I'm going to set mine to private. And then go ahead and click on Create Repository. Now let's go to GitHub Actions. And you can see here that they give you some getting started actions here. So for example, if you have a Node.js app, you can choose this one, set up this workflow, deploy to Amazon ECS, build and deploy GKE, and Terraform, Kubernetes, Tencent Kubernetes engine. So you can do quite a few things in GitHub using actions. Let's see what else they got here. CI workflows, continuous integration workflows, Ruby, Rust, CMake Python, Swift. They got more stuff down here. And then if you click on more continuous integration workflows, it gives you more things that you can do. So I think you get the point, right? That you can, there's a lot of sample workflows that you can set up. Let's go back to the top over here. Or you can skip all that and just set up your own workflow. So for this example, we're going to go ahead and just use the first one, which is the simple workflow. So just click on set up this workflow. And you'll notice that on the left hand side, it gives you an editor with a YAML file. It gave the YAML file the name blank.yaml. So we're going to rename that. On the right hand side, it gives you a marketplace of actions. So basically pre-built actions that other people have shared. In other words, contributed by the community. It also gives you documentation on how to set up different actions. Like for example, what operating systems you want to use. And for those of you that have experience using Azure DevOps, this actually looks pretty familiar. So for example, if we go over here to Azure DevOps, we can see that we go to pipelines. Let's just go ahead and edit one of these pipelines. And just like in GitHub Actions, on the left hand side you have the editor with the YAML file. Same thing here. And on the right hand side over here for Azure DevOps, you have the different sample tasks that you can add on to your YAML file. Same thing over here. If we go back to Marketplace over here. Although, one of the things that I notice is that when you click on a particular action, it gives you the sample here, but it doesn't have the same functionality that it does in Azure DevOps. So for example here, if I want to add something, right, I can just go over here to the tasks over here. For example, let's say I wanted to add .NET Core action, a build, hit add, and it adds the YAML for you. In the GitHub Actions, I don't see that functionality here. I think this is a copy, but yep, you can copy and paste stuff. So that's kind of useful, but it doesn't let you fill out a particular action here. But I can foresee that in the future, probably this functionality is going to end up in GitHub. Maybe not, but I would like to see it. But let's go ahead and take a look at this YAML file. So you can give this workflow a name, right? Right here, it named it CI. And it's saying on push branches to master. So if you do a push to master, it will trigger this. So this is the triggers area. Or on a pull request, it also will trigger. And here's the actual job section. So it defines the jobs. This is going to be a build. And this is where it's going to specify the runner, meaning Ubuntu latest is it's going to pick the latest version of Ubuntu to run this particular action. And again, this is similar to Azure DevOps, where you can, that's probably not a good example, but so we got the trigger, master, resources, self, and over here you can pick the VM. So you can see the VM image, Ubuntu latest. On the GitHub Actions side, you can see that it also has the same exact name. So I'm wondering if Microsoft is using the same labels between them in preparation for people like me who use Azure DevOps to be migrating to GitHub Actions. Make it easier to remember things. In this case, we have jobs, steps, in the Azure DevOps. But if we look at GitHub Actions, it also has jobs and steps. So again, a lot of similarities there, parallels. They make it easy for, again, somebody that has experience with Azure DevOps to be able to migrate to GitHub. But let's continue looking at this. So it's going to run on a Ubuntu. Here they call it runner. And here are the actual steps, actions, checkout v2. Checks out your repository under GitHub Workspace so your job can access it. So this will check out inside that VM or that instance of Ubuntu, the code. And then here we have a command that we can run in the command prompt. It gives it a name label. So run a one-liner script. And it says echo hello world. The next one is, or the next step is run a multi-line script, and it says run with a pipe. This denotes that it's going to be a multi-line script. So it's going to echo a few more things. I'm going to go ahead and click on preview here. And it gives us a nice little preview of the code that's going to be checked in. And we can go back to edit mode. So you can switch between preview mode, where you cannot make changes, and you can go back to edit mode. I'm just going to rename this my first flow. Okay. So note that it's putting it in a subdirectory in my repo, myactions.github. So it's a subdirectory called .github, and another one called workflows, and then my YAML file. All right, let's go ahead and commit this. And it automatically gives it a commit message, and then you can add a message if you want. Let's go ahead and click commit new file. All right, so if we go back to actions over here, we should see it queued up. Yep, here it is. It says 11 seconds ago, and you see this little yellow status, meaning it's in progress. So let's click on that, and oh, it's complete already. So it shows you the run. It said it completed in 18 seconds, and I started at 28 seconds ago. No artifacts were generated. Here's the actual workflow file, just like in the preview mode before we commit it. You have the option to edit it from here, but I'm more interested in the output. So let's go over here to the output, the build step. All right, so here are the different labels. And then to view the output, you have to click on the little triangle. Okay, gives us information on the setup of the job. We should expect it to run on Ubuntu. It said it used 1804.5, which is LTS, long-term support. Virtual environment. Okay. Let's collapse that. Let's expand this one. This should be the checkout step. So it's checking out the same repo that this lives in to that VM. And here's the one-liner script. Right, so we click on that, echo hello world, and here's the actual output. So let's collapse it. This is the output. This is the script. Here's the multi-line script. Add other actions to build, test, and deploy your project. So it's 2 lines. And here's the actual script itself. Cool. And then any post actions, cleans up stuff, and then it completes the job. Okay, not bad for our first example here. Get us started with actions. Over here on the right hand side, we can tell it to rerun the job. I'm wondering if we can get the whole, yeah, here we go, the whole raw log. Sometimes I don't like the little menus and all that. I prefer just, opening up the log, the raw log with all the information in there, so I can help troubleshoot things. You can download the log if you want. Oh, show timestamps. Let's see what that does. Show timestamps. Okay, so it appends this timestamp to each single step here. That's very useful too. If, for example, you have a action that's running too long and you want to pinpoint what particular step is taking too long or action, this allows you to, clearly see that. But because it does take up space on the left hand side of the output here, that's why it's turned off by default. So we turn it off. You notice that now the time stamp is gone. If I turn it on, it's back. Let me turn it off. So by default, it's off. And also you have the option to search the log. So let's search this. Let's look for the word hello. It's not working. I know it's here. Oh, it's lowercase. Okay. So it's case sensitive. Alright, well, there you go. So on the left hand side over here, you see that hello is highlighted. So you can cycle through the search results here. It says there's 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It doesn't tell you what number you're on. Maybe it's in here. Yeah, there you go. So there's the 3. You can search through the log. This is super useful, especially if you have like let's say a really long build log where a lot of text is generated. This makes it easy for you to search for things and it highlights it for you. So that's pretty nifty. So let's go ahead and rerun jobs. Let's just see what it does. Let's just rerun it. Use this nice little animation here. Starting your workflow run. I don't know about you, but I like to sit and watch the output as a automation is doing its thing. I love to see the output of things. Oh, this one was pretty quick, so it's done now. I'm wondering why this one expanded while the other one stayed collapsed. I kind of like to see the whole output when it's running, but okay. Right, so let's go back to let's go ahead and edit this. So let's go back over here on the left hand side where it says CI on push. And let's go to workflow file. Let's make a change here. And actually, I'm going to use the documentation over here. And I want to see what else they offer for operating systems that we can use. So we have the available virtual machine type. So they're virtual machines, I guess. Ubuntu latest, specific versions of Ubuntu, Windows latest or Windows 2019, and then Mac OS. I don't know how Microsoft can run Mac OS VMs, because for those of you that are mobile developers, you know that you could only build, of course, on a Mac, and Mac OS can only run on Apple hardware. So I'm wondering if Microsoft has data centers filled with Mac machines and this is how they run it, or they run it on old Xserve blades because there's no more Xserves available to purchase. So, and actually I've wondered about this in when using Azure DevOps, because that's also an option here. Azure DevOps also allows you to use Mac OS VMs. So I'm curious to know how that's possible, but yeah, maybe they have a lot of Mac machines and somehow running VMs on them. So let's switch over operating systems just for fun. So I'm gonna copy this, and we're gonna go over here where it says runs on. I should probably make this bigger for those few that are viewing this on a mobile phone. So let's delete this. Paste that. actually, since I was talking about Mac OS, let's use Mac OS for fun. Not Windows, Mac OS. Okay. What else does it have here? Install dependencies if you're doing some kind of node build, but we're not doing that. Of course, this is just documentation, so it's going to give you all kinds of random examples. Oh, that's cool. You can set up your workflow to run on the schedule. So it's basically following the cron job format. And that's pretty cool. Here's example triggers. Here we go. Here's a push. Here's a PR. We did the operating system one. Here it talks about running your job across matrix of operating systems and runtime versions. Oh, so actually, why don't we try that? Why don't we, let's see, where are we? Jobs, test, build. But is this only for tests? I'm not sure. You can run a job across a set of values, such as different versions of code libraries or operating systems. That's what it says there. Runs on Matrix OS. And then strategy. Okay, so let's try that. Let's just try that for fun. So let's get rid of this. Let's paste it in here. So Matrix OS. Ooh, it has this little nifty pop-up here. IntelliSense for those of you that use Visual Studio. Cool. And it gives you descriptive information. That's very useful, actually. Let me see in Azure DevOps. You do get something similar, but it's not as, it doesn't give you a description or anything like that. Okay. So we got runs on. Let's do strategy. I don't see it auto-populating. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. Matrix. So it says you can do a matrix, fail fast, or max parallel. The maximum number of jobs that can run simultaneously. Let's just pick matrix. And then OS. Right? And then the values. We're just going to copy and paste these because I'm lazy. Let's paste these in here. And you notice that as you're typing, just like in Azure DevOps, it gives you, it lets you know when you're doing something wrong, or it gives you suggestions and all that. So I think that's really nifty about this, is that you're not, completely left out to figure out everything yourself. You can, as you're typing things on the YAML file here, it's giving you IntelliSense. It's giving you the different options. It's telling you when you're making a mistake. So this is very similar. For example, like if you're doing something in some IDE, I use Visual Studio Code, so it's a very similar experience. All right. So now we have a matrix. So what is this going to do? Is here we have a list of the different operating systems, and it's going to assign it to this parameter here, OS. And what it's saying here is for each, it's going to run on each one of these OSs. That's what this is denoting, that it's going to go through this list here of different OSs and run the same script. And that this is what defines it, that it's a strategy, and here's the matrix. And so let's go ahead and try that. Let's start our commit. Cool. Okay, so notice that you can, of course, it has its default commit messages. You can add a description. Let's adding matrix to run on different OS. I'm going to say adding matrix. Adding OS matrix. And cool. So you can either commit this directly to master, which I probably will. Well, not probably will. I will, because I'm the only one doing this, and this is just an example. But typically, you might not want to do that, and you want to actually create a branch and do your work and commit your work there, so you can test things out, and only if things look good or you feel comfortable do you then submit a pull request. We'll go into stuff like that in the future, but I kind of just wanted to try out Google Actions and make a video on it. So let's just leave it like that, and let's just commit our changes. Okay, it's done here. So it would be nice if it would actually send you to the actual workflow right after this, like in Azure DevOps, but that's okay. We'll click on the Actions tab over here, and we can see it's already started. And here's the matrix, Ubuntu latest, Windows latest. So it's going to run the same command. Well, I already finished on Ubuntu and Mac OS. Windows, a little slower. Not surprised there, but okay, it's almost done. Not too bad. 24 seconds. Ubuntu took 2 seconds. Mac OS took 3 seconds, and Windows took 24 seconds. Let's see why. Okay, so we can actually kind of pinpoint where it's taking long just by taking a look at the right hand side over here. You can see that this step took 10 seconds, this one took 8 seconds. So the checkout took 8 seconds, and then running the actual script, one-liner script, took 10 seconds. So not sure why that's the case, but this multi-line script took 1 second. This looks weird. All right, let's look at the output for Mac OS. Mac OS, I mean, it didn't even register a second here for running the actual scripts. Checkout was pretty fast. Let's look at the single line script, the multi-line script. All right. And of course, Linux is, I'm not surprised this would be the fastest. It's the lightest OS. Again, I'm not sure if they're running full VMs. It says VMs, but I suspect it's probably Docker containers for Linux. Okay, so we have a one-line script here, multi-line script. Cool. And just for fun, let's go ahead and rerun it. And you can just keep going and going. Now, I do pay for my subscription for GitHub. What is it, $4 a month now? I'm not using a free account, so I'm not sure if you have the same options with a free account. Please let me know in the comments if that's the case. I don't have a free account, so I'm not going to go through the trouble of creating an account, but I like the fact that I get, all these 3 operating systems on here. Sure, it's not a lot of operating systems, but you can always roll your own agents, I'm sure, or runners. They call them runners here. So that's another thing that I kind of wanted to point out. So what are the advantages of using their runners versus your own? Using the built-in runners means you don't have to maintain them. You don't have to worry about what's version they're on, what patching you have to do, or anything like that. So I tend to always lean with using the built-in VM. I just think it's a better approach to do things. Honestly, as a developer, you don't want to spend time, managing build agents or runners. You'd rather just put your code somewhere, build it, and then generate an artifact and deploy it somewhere, right? I'm not intending to make this a full detailed video on Actions, but instead I kind of wanted to get somebody that doesn't know anything about GitHub Actions, like myself, to try it out. And then, of course, I'll probably be releasing more videos on this, and we'll do some more fun workflows. I have other videos on Azure DevOps and stuff that I've done there. I plan on creating videos that, now focus on GitHub, because this is probably what Microsoft will push more so than Azure DevOps. By no means am I saying that Azure DevOps is going away anytime soon, but I think GitHub Actions is a really, really good alternative to it. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.